Hi, it's Jack, and this is the podcast version of this episode. If you want to read the words as they're being analysed, then if you're on Spotify, you can become a subscriber of this channel or head over to the YouTube channel. And on both platforms, you can also sign up to get exclusive episodes and early access to the regular weekly episodes too. Lori Vallow's done a lot of bad things in her time, but even for her, recruiting her teenage daughter into the conspiracy to murder Lori's estranged husband would be a low. But is that what happened? Let's look at what her daughter Tylee told the cops.
Is there a reason why you took the bat with you?
Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct. Mm-hmm. Like obviously I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. It was kind of just for like security, I guess, to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it.
Welcome to Never a Truer Word, where we look at the words that people choose to use to see if they're telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. What I do here is different from anywhere else because I strip away everything apart from the words and then use my process of statement investigation to give you the key to seeing deception, the truth, and the motivations of someone. Now, this week, Lori was found guilty of conspiracy to murder Charles Vallow. In the last episode, we looked at how Lori's brother, Alex Cox, described why he shot Charles. It was empty, devoid of any sense of fear or even emotion. So what will we see when we look at Tylee's words in her police interview? Now remember, she's a child, she's 16 when this interview took place. So if we do see bad actions in there, we need to look at the influence of her parents, in particular her mum, on Tylee. So what are we looking for here? Well, first of all, we're dealing with a 16-year-old girl, so we're going to see a lot of teenisms here. Lots of crutch and filler phases, like, kinda, sorta. Now, they may indicate that she's not really telling the truth, just something sort of happened or something kind of happened. It could indicate she's just low on confidence, either in herself or in what she's saying. We'll just roll with them as we go, but there are a lot of them in here. We'll just navigate them as and when they come up. They could mean nothing. They could indicate something. The other thing we're going to look for when someone is telling a story, we'll look for a congruent story. Does it stick together when she tells certain parts of it another time? Does it match the first time that she told it? Also look for jumps in time, phrases like and then, which indicate that something happened that she does not want to share. And very much like Alex Cox, let's look at facts versus emotion. Is she describing a whole load of facts and process around what happened, or is she letting us in on her emotions at the same time? She uses some shorthand to describe some people in the videos we're going to listen to. So let me tell you, mom is Lori. When she talks about mom, she's talking about Lori Vallow. When she's talking about her uncle, she's talking about Alex Cox. That's the person that shot Charles. And when she talks about my stepdad, she's talking about Charles. So with all that in mind, let's get into the interview room and let's listen to what Tylee has to say.
So I know this is going to kind of sound like kind of a silly question because it's super broad. But can you basically tell me what happened today? And you can start at whatever place makes sense for you to kind of start and explain. I'll probably kind of ask you questions as we go a little bit.
Okay. So I woke up probably around like 7:50, I want to say, because I heard yelling from like right outside my door. And I don't even know what I heard, but I immediately like jumped up, and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to like feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get like pepper spray or anything, so I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that.
So that there is a very short extract from the first question she was asked and the first answer that she gave. And it's very short, but there is so much in this. When we look at the words that Tylee used, so she's asked, okay, I know this is going to sound kind of like a silly question because it's super broad, but can you basically tell me what happened today? You can start at whatever place makes sense for you to kind of start to explain. I'll probably ask you questions as we go a little bit. Now, the nub of that question is, tell me what happened today. And it's always very instructive when someone's asked, tell me what happened today, where they start the story, because for them psychologically, that is where the story starts. And what happens when she's asked, tell me what happened today, she starts with when she woke up. So that is when it all starts in Tylee's head. And Tylee says, okay, so I woke up probably around like 7:50 50, I want to say. Now, I'm going to look at a lot of vagueness in that, probably around like 7, big thought, 50, I want to say. There's just nothing definite in there around the time. Now, I'm not saying that's damning or that she's making it up or anything like that. I'm just saying there is nothing definite there right now. And she tells us why she woke up, which is interesting as well. She didn't just want to tell us what time she woke up, but she wants to tell us at the moment she woke up, something had already started. There was this yelling starting. And she says, because I heard yelling from like right outside my door. So she's telling us where the yelling was. And this is going to be really important because all the time as we go through this telling of the story from Tylee, location is really important to us. She's very pinpoint on the locations where things happened. And she says, I heard yelling from right outside my door. And then she says, I don't even know where. Little bit of a contradiction going on there in that she tells us exactly where it was. It was right outside her door. And then she says, I don't even know where. Interesting that. Why has she given it some definite location, which is right outside the door, and then moved to I don't even really know where. Now, if you put yourself in her mind, when you hear yelling, it is outside your door, unless it's inside the room you're in, you think it's outside your door. But she says right outside my door, i.e. it felt like it was happening right outside my door, but then I don't even know where. And now this is where it gets really interesting, because she's asked, what happened? And instead of talking about an argument between these adults that went on, she tells us about getting her baseball bat. It's beyond what time she got up and why she got up. It, to Tylee, is the most important thing to tell us that she got her baseball bat and why she got her baseball bat. So she says, I immediately jumped up and I have a baseball bat because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to feel safer. So she's explaining why she had this baseball bat. So right off the bat is no pun intended, she is explaining why she had that, kind of explaining it away, making it feel really innocent that she had this bat. Is it innocent or is there a little bit more to it? We'll come to that as we go through all the words. She says, I immediately jumped up. Now, when someone says immediately, then I always go, did they get up as fast as they want us to believe? Because immediately isn't needed in there. It's just I jumped up and got my baseball bat would be descriptive enough. But she wants to tell us that she immediately jumped up and got the baseball bat. Did she move as fast as all that? Was this as instinctive as she wants us to believe? She says, I have a baseball bat, and then goes into a big, long explanation about why she has the baseball bat. So when she's asked what happened, the most important thing, the thing she spends most time talking about, is having this baseball bat. And she tells us why. Because when I was living at my uncle's by myself, I just wanted something to like feel safer, and I'm not old enough to get pepper spray or anything. Now that word just, if you're a regular, you'll know I jump on it all the time, because just, when someone tells us they just something, very often that's not the complete truth. They want to focus our attention on this just thing so we don't think about anything wider than that. And I think that's what's going on here. She wants to explain that this baseball bat just happened to be there. She wants to make it seem really casual that this baseball bat was at the side of her bed and that she just got it there. Kind of innocently. It was an instinctive thing. She immediately jumped up and got this baseball bat, is what I think is going on there. Now look, we've got a lot more to see, but something is going on here with the baseball bat. She doesn't just want to tell us that she grabbed the baseball bat, but she wants to make it seem really natural that she would have this baseball bat near her, and that the baseball bat was the first thing that she thought of instinctively. So Tylee continues, so I was like, okay, I'll get a baseball bat. So I have that. Now that in baseball bat is interesting. It wasn't I'll get my baseball bat, it's I'll get any baseball bat, just a baseball bat, which is interesting because what she wants us to think is that my first instinct was to get the baseball bat, which is mine, which was next to the bed. Instead, what she says is I'll get a baseball bat. Now, this has all got me thinking, is her storytelling going on here? And the thing that is most important for her to get across is that I got a baseball bat, and it was all very innocent. It wasn't planned. It wasn't thought about beforehand. It was all very instinctive. And the fact I've got this baseball bat here is because I felt unsafe at my uncle's house. So she carries on and says, so I have that. So listen, that's the very first part of it, and what I've got so far is this baseball bat priority. As she tells it, her stepdad, or not as she tells it, but as facts are, her stepdad has been killed at this point. He's been shot by Alex, and when she's asked what happens, the first thing she says is, I got a baseball bat when I heard voices when I woke up. That's really interesting to me. That shows a priority I would not expect. Let's carry on with this now. Tylee goes on and talks about the layout of the house a bit, and then comes back to that layout of the house and why it is important to the story that she tells.
Little brother's room, and then kitchen's kind of back here, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened.
Okay.
Like the big, you walk in and...
Like big great room, kind of living room?
Yeah, right now it just has mirrors up because my mom wanted a dance room.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of unconventional, but...
Hey, whatever makes you happy. It's your guys' house, so...
Right. So, yeah, I immediately just jumped up and I grabbed my baseball bat and I opened the door, and it was my stepdad, you know, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. And he was just screaming at both of them, like, I don't even know what he was saying, because honestly I was just too, like wired, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close, you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I just kind of just stood there, and then my uncle kind of moved out of the way, and then my mom kind of went past him and into like the big room.
Okay.
Where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then
So they were more in the hallway?
Yeah, they were at like the end of the hallway,
Okay.
basically, and so my mom walked all the way around, and he kind of followed them, and I just kind of stood. My uncle was like right here, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom were kind of right here. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat, I kind of just held it there, and he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out like between them, and they were both just yelling, and he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're gonna go to jail. And I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat, and I didn't really say anything.
Right, I think one of the things I can say here is the lack of nerves in Tylee when she tells this story. She's not stumbly, she's not stuttering or anything like that at all. She's very, very confident in the story that she tells. If there was a lot of stutters, I would be picking up on that and going, is she making it up? Is she very nervous about this? I'm surprised at how little nerves there are, actually, given the severity of the story that she's telling. Anyway, let's go back to the words. And she talks about the layout of the house, and she talks about my little brother's room, and then the kitchen's kind of back there, so it's like a little hallway, and then right here is kind of where everything happened. Now, that was interesting, where everything happened. We have not got yet to what everything is, but she's narrowing this all down to one location where everything happened. Now, everything could be downplaying. It's not where the argument happened, where the violence happened, even where the shooting happened, although she's not going to say she shot the shooting. It's just where everything happened, which is, for me, is hiding things a little bit, maybe even downplaying what went on. This area where everything happened. But it also, by the use of this blanket word, everything, suggests she knows quite a lot about what happened and where it happened. She talks about the living room, which is now a dance room, which is kind of unconventional. And the police person says, hey, whatever makes you happy, it's your guys' house. So, and Tylee interrupts. Now, she'd been asked about the layout of the house. She was talking about the layout of the house, and Tylee interrupts and jumps back unprompted into the story she was telling before about having picked up the baseball bat. She says, right, so yeah, I immediately just jumped up and I grabbed my baseball bat and I opened the door, and it was my stepdad, you know, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. So this isn't completely unprompted. So we can tell from that it's very important for Tylee to get this across. Now, we don't know why that is. We just know it's important. It could be important because she really wants to help out and get a whole load of facts and pertinent facts to the police to help them work out what happened, or if she's telling a story, if she's telling something that's made up, if she's not being 100% truthful, she's desperate to get this made up story out. It's very important that this story comes out, which is why she's interrupted and just gone, bomb, with here's some things that it's important for me to say. She uses that word immediately again. I immediately just jumped up and grabbed my baseball bat. So I'm now thinking she really wants us to believe that this was instinctive. She didn't really think about grabbing this baseball bat. She just immediately did it. And we've got that word just again. I think as we go through this, just is a key word which says that Tylee is not being honest and that she wants to focus our attention down onto the one thing. She's not being fully honest about what happened. So I'm now going, did she instinctively grab the baseball bat, or was there more to it? That more to it could have been some premeditation, as in her being told, you're going to come out with the baseball bat once this argument starts, or was it that she sat for a while wondering what to do because all this noise was happening, pondered on the best thing for her to do, and it was the baseball bat that she grabbed, and she wants to roll back on that a little bit to make it sound or feel like, look, this was just an instinctive thing. I didn't plan on getting this baseball bat in. She refers to it as my baseball bat this time. She says, and I grabbed my baseball bat. So there is the baseball bat at some point, which I thought was interesting. It was more the concept that she had a baseball bat that was important to her, rather than it just being her baseball bat, which would be a little bit more natural. Here she calls it my baseball bat. I opened the door and it was my stepdad, outside the doorway. She doesn't say I opened the door and there was my stepdad outside the doorway, or my stepdad was there outside the doorway. It was my stepdad. What's it? That wording could be used if there was a noise outside and she didn't know who was creating the noise or why the noise was there. It's being the noise, not the person. So it was my stepdad making the noise. She doesn't quite say that, but that could be what she means, I guess. And she says that he was, outside the doorway, and location is really important to Tylee when she tells this story. She will put people in locations a lot, and very definite locations. So we have my stepdad, outside the doorway, and then my uncle kind of in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. So 3 locations for these people. Stepdad outside the doorway, uncle in the doorway, and mom behind him. We don't know which him she's talking about, but interesting there, the way she wants to put out the locations here. Almost like a scene written down in a play or a movie. Everyone's location is laid out there. We have and then there, which signifies a jump in time. So it is my stepdad and then my uncle in the doorway, and then I could hear my mom behind him. Now, what is that jump in time signifying? And then is a jump in time. We very often use it in speech when we're just talking for brevity, and we don't want to go into all the details. So, I was driving along and then a car pulled out in front of me. But certainly there is some sort of jump in time there that between, clocking the stepdad, clocking the uncle, and then I could hear mom behind him. Now, bear in mind that there's a lot of screaming and yelling going on. That's all fine. But she could not see mom behind him, whoever the him was that mom was behind, but she could hear mom behind him. So mom was obviously making some sort of noise. She talks about some noise now and says, he was just screaming at both of them. So we've got that word just again. So was there a little bit more going on there? In fact, was the screaming 3-way, 2-way? And she wants to put all the action and the loudness and the sort of impression of violence that screaming comes with. Does she want to just put that on Charles? I think that's what could be happening here with he was just screaming at both of them. Like, I didn't even know what he was saying because honestly, I was just too wired, I guess. Interesting. It gets very fuzzy there again. He was screaming at both of them, and then unprompted, because she's not asked what was he saying, what was the argument about, or anything like that. She says, I don't even know what he was saying. So she wants to get clear straight away again that she doesn't know what was being said. But we've got some of this deceptive language here. Honestly, I was too wired. When someone tells you they're being honest, especially when they're not being put under any pressure, are they really being honest? Why are they flagging up their honesty here? Is it because it's a lie and they want us to believe it? So it's honestly, I was too wired. I want you to remember that phrase as well. She explains why she doesn't remember anything that was being said because she was too, wired. Interesting that she was too wired to understand anything that was being said, but not too wired that she doesn't know all these locations where people were when she came out of the bedroom. So this reason for what people were saying and saying she doesn't know what it was, I'm not believing straight out the bat. She tries too hard to convince us or persuade us that she doesn't know what was said, but she knows lots of other details, really, really minute details. So I get the impression here she is telling a story, and part of the story that she doesn't want to tell is what was being said, what the conversation was about. So I told him to take a few steps back. I was like, you're too close and you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And I just just stood there. And then my uncle kind of moved out of the way. Now, she hasn't told us how close everyone was. She's told us the positions that they were. But for some reason, the next thing she wants to tell us is that she told her stepdad to take a few steps back. But she hasn't introduced the concept of closeness there, as if something is missing from this storyline. And as well, she hasn't said any sort of fear for her mom, or the fact that she thought maybe some violence was going to kick off or anything like that. None of that is in her way of telling the story whatsoever. What she's jumped to, if you like, is the interaction that she had. So as much as she's wanting to make this sound kind of innocent, and she just woke up and heard these noises and walked out, all of a sudden it sounds very interventionalist, but we've no idea why she was making this intervention. She has to jump back and say, I told him to take a few steps back, and you're too close, you need to step back. And he was like, don't tell me what to do. And then I just stood there, and then my uncle kind of moved out of the way. Now, some interesting things here. We've got that word just again. I just stood there. Did you really just stand there? This sounds quite interventionist. This sounds like you've done a little bit more than say step back. Also, just thinking about it, we've got 3 grown adults here, and we've got a teenage girl, and by the looks of things, a small teenage girl with a baseball bat. Did she just say step back? Or was there a little bit more going on there? Was there a little bit more threat going on there? Was there a little bit more squaring up? She says, I just kind of stood there. Did you? And then another jump in time, my uncle kind of moved out the way. So in her telling, I said, take a few steps back. You need to step back. You're too close. He said, don't tell me what to do. And then something happened that made him step back, and then suggests another jump in time. So was there a threat issue there? Did the uncle just think better of it, and that I'm going to move back here? Or sorry, the stepdad, did he move back? But then she says, and then my uncle kind of moved out of the way. So we've got movement again going on, location, movement, all very important to her. And my mom kind of went past him into the big room. So we've got all this position and location again, which seems really, really important to her. Is this about getting someone into a certain position that is needed for the telling of this story, or even the execution of the plan? She says, okay, where everything happened, and so I walked with them, and then so we've got, again, this where everything happened. So this first location position, I'm not very clear on where it is because she's not very clear on telling us, but she is saying where people are. Where everything happened is where everyone's moved to now. And so I walked with them, is what she said. And I want you to remember that phrase because she contradicts it a little bit later on. So the policewoman says, so they were more in the hallway. Tylee says, yeah, they were at the end of the hallway, basically. So my mom walked all the way around, and then he kind of followed them, and I just kind of stood. So what did she do there? Because what she said the first time was that everyone moved into the hallway, and so I walked with them, which is the 3 adults there. And the next time she says she just kind of stood. Now, kind of stood could be moving, but we've got this teenage kind of going on here. But certainly we've got a discrepancy there. Did she walk with them when they moved into this hallway area? Or did she just kind of stand there? What I think we've got going on is in Tylee's story, she's not being honest about what it was that she did and what happened, because we now have some discrepancies in this story that she's telling. She moves on and does some more location stuff. So my uncle was like right there, and then my stepdad right here, and then me and my mom are kind of right here. So she is laying out in the video of this where those positions are with her hands, but it's all again about location. And I didn't do anything with the baseball bat. I just kind of held it there, and he was getting really close to my mom. So I didn't do anything with the baseball bat. Why tell us this? The baseball bat has disappeared from the story at this point. She is just telling one of the adults to back off and back away from her mom. But she feels the need to tell us that she didn't do anything with the baseball bat. Why is that? Again, that seems to me to be trying to build this picture of innocent bystander that's going on there. So I didn't do anything with the baseball bat. Once again, she calls it the baseball bat. It's a singular baseball bat. Not my baseball bat this time. It's the baseball bat that's there. The baseball bat, very, very important to her story because she's brought it up here unprompted. I just held it here. Well, held it there. Again, we've got that word just. So she's telling us she didn't do anything with the baseball bat. It's making me think, did she do something with the baseball bat that she wants to hide here? And then she's saying, I didn't do anything. Just held it there. Did she just hold it there? I mean, what we know is, I think, when you think about a baseball bat, is when she's saying she held it, was it upright in a sort of more aggressive position than if it was dangling down at her side? That could be what is going on there. He was getting really close to my mom. So we've got this location, proximity descriptors from her. You'll notice no emotion is coming up at all. And it's all very process driven about this person being there, this person being there, the movement of people, how close they were to each other. But no, although, you know, what she could be describing here is the stepdad squaring up to the mom and being aggressive with the mom because he's getting really close to her. There's no worry, fear, or anything like that expressed in her words. So she goes back to the baseball bat and says, so I kind of stuck it out like between them and they were both just yelling. Now, I kind of stuck it out, like between them. Again, we've got this vagueness in the language there. But for someone who didn't do anything with a baseball bat, now she's telling us she did do something with a baseball bat, and that was kind of stuck it out. I think, again, we've got a bit of vagueness there, but I think we've got some downplaying going on. And they were both just yelling. Now, both just yelling is going to be important because what she wants to do, Tylee, in this story, is she wants to paint the Charles as the aggressor here. So she's going to tell us that he was the one yelling, he was the one mad, he was the one with all the sort of rage inside him. And yet right here we have them both just yelling. I think this is a slip. I think she's very controlled when she's telling this story, but the truth will come out at points. It's very hard to keep up a lie all the time, which is what I think we're getting some fabrication here from Tylee at the very least. And although she will try and paint it as only Charles doing the yelling, she does say here both were just yelling. And he was like, if you hit me with the baseball bat, you're going to go to jail. Now, interesting. Why would he say that if the baseball bat just stuck out between them? So I think there was a threat there to hit him with the baseball bat. You can see she's on her mom's side here all the time. So if she put the baseball bat in between them, that feels like a neutral gesture as she's saying it. It's just in between them. The pair of you, stop this now. And yet, for some reason, Charles thinks that there is a threat in her telling of the story around the baseball bat that's just being sort of, in Tylee's words, benignly stuck between them. But he seems to think that there is a threat to hit him there. If you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to go to jail. And I just kind of stood there with the baseball bat and I didn't really say anything. Again, I think we've got these vagaries coming down here, which can sound like teenage vagaries and crutch words, but look what else we're getting here is I just stood there with a baseball bat. I just didn't really say anything. I think she did more than just stand there with a baseball bat, and I think that she did say something. So there's the second answer that we've looked at. There's a lot unprompted here. She wants to get this story out, and she wants to talk about the baseball bat and its presence and really play down the presence of this baseball bat. So much about location, so much about where people were, why they were where they were, how they moved, and so on as well. But very, very little in what she says around emotion, fear, dread, anger, anything like that. It's all very process driven about who was where, and we've got this downplaying of threat of violence, I think is what we've got going on there. Let's listen to some more from Tylee.
Can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up?
Yeah, he was walking towards my mom, and I just didn't want him to do anything, so I kind of just stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me, and he was right there, so it wasn't, like, between them.
Okay.
It was kind of just, like, I just stuck it out to be, like, keep your distance, kind of.
When you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was going to do?
Hit her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, for the most part, been pretty, like, mundane, but there have been a few, like, violent times with him when I was really scared that he was going to hit me or hit my mom, like, just because everything was kind of crazy. Me and him have always kind of not gotten along, like, just since I was little, and so there have been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that, and so, so I'm just kind of always scared of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so that happened, and he grabbed the bat from you. So kind of tell me that again real quick.
So I kind of stuck it out, and this is when he was like, if you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail, and I didn't say anything, because I'm like, okay. And so I'm holding it by, like, the end of the bat, like, the place where you hold it, and so he kind of took it, and I kind of, like, lunged forward and kind of lost, like, my footing. And so my mom was like, just let go, and so, I kind of, like, slipped and I fell, kind of on, like, my side.
Okay.
Yeah, and then from that, my mom said to go to the car, so I just got up and ran out the door.
Okay, so we've got the detective here saying, can you describe to me a little bit better kind of what was going on there? Like, is there a reason you put the bat up? So she's probably tuned into what I noticed there, which was that this description of the bat and why what happened with it, it's not really gelling in her mind. It's a great rule. If someone says some words and talks about a story, you can't really picture what's happening or why it's happening. If it doesn't feel natural, then potentially it could be being made up. And I think that's what's going on here with this policewoman. And she asks a question for clarification. And Tylee says, yeah, he was walking towards my mom and I just didn't want him to do anything. So I kind of just stuck out the back. Like, mom was right beside me and he was right there. So it wasn't like between them. Not very clear. Again, let's build it up here. So yeah, he was walking towards my mom. So again, we've got this sense of him getting close. But really, the last time there was no walking towards my mom. So there's some discrepancies in her telling here. And I just didn't want him to do anything. Now, again, I've said this is kind of devoid of emotion. So what she doesn't say is I was scared he was going to do something to mom, or he was being aggressive, or he was being violent. She does not seem to have that authentic experience to say that out loud in words. So it's all just kind of minimized down to this very generic phrase. I didn't want him to do anything. I didn't want him to do anything. Not I was frightened or I was trying to diffuse the situation or I wanted to stop what was happening. It's just I didn't want him to do anything. It's very casual. What I think is going on there is there was no threat towards Laurie. I think she's making that threat up. So I just kind of stuck out the bat. Like, my mom was right beside me. So we've got location again. He was right there. So it wasn't like between them is what she says. So what she's saying explicitly here is the bat was not between them. And yet earlier she said, he was getting really close to my mom, so I kind of stuck it out like between them, and they were both just yelling. So we've got another discrepancy here in Tylee's telling of what went on with this bat. Earlier, I stuck it out between them. Here, the bat was not between them. Both can't be true. I'm afraid there's something not quite right in that part of the story. I was just kind of like, I just stuck it out to be like, keep your distance kind of. So much kind of and justs and likes, but it's this word just again there. I just stuck it out like keep your distance kind of. Now, I said before, I think that she said something and there was a lot more intent with how she was holding the bat in front of her stepdad. I think this is showing that again. She's downplaying what it was that she did, downplaying what she said, just kind of like keep your distance. The police person says, when you say you didn't want him to do anything, what did you think he was going to do? Now, she's spotting some of the same things that I'm spotting. This, I didn't want him to do anything, is almost meaningless here. So she's trying to get some meaning from this. Interesting that she hasn't volunteered this. And Tylee has volunteered a lot around the baseball bat and where people were standing or so on, but she hasn't volunteered any sense of threat. So what did you think he was going to do? hit her, is what she says, but this has to be drawn out of her. And then she offers some more here. She says, it's for the most part been pretty like mundane, but there have been a few like violent times with him when I was really scared that he was going to hit me or hit my mom. Let's unpack that. She describes them as violent times. Well, first of all, she does a lot of downplaying, saying for the most part, it's been pretty like mundane. So her first instinct is just to say things are pretty mundane, pretty quiet. And then she says there's been a few violent times. Now, what is violence? It is threatening, not threatening, it is physical behaviour, it is action and so on. And yet her description there of what the violent times are times when she was really scared that he was going to hit me or my mom. So what she doesn't say is there have been violent times when he has hit my mom, he has hit me, he's been violent with other people. She only says that these violent times, that she wants to label them as violent times, weren't really violent. Just there was a scare there in her telling, a scare there that he was going to hit me or my mom, but she cannot say, and that's because we don't like lying and we like to stick with our authentic language and our experiences as we know it. She cannot say that this guy is a violent person, was a violent person, that this threat of violence was very real because he's been violent before. Instead, she can only go to this, I was really scared that he was going to hit me or mom once upon a time. Just like because everything was kind of crazy, me and him have always kind of not gotten along. So, interesting there that she thinks that the guy is going to hit her mom, but she brings it back to herself and says, me and him have always not gotten along. So again, that makes me think that there was something going on between Tylee and Charles here, because she talks about the relationship personally between the two of them, less so much around the threat that was going on to Laurie at the time. Like, since I was little, and so there has been a few times that we've gotten in fights and stuff like that, and so I'm just kind of always scared of that. So she wants to tell us she was scared. She does say fights, but it's really non-descriptive. It's fights. We've gotten in fights and stuff like that. She doesn't say that he has been violent towards her or violent towards her mom at all. It's just when asked, I'm scared that he's going to hit her, or I was scared he was going to hit her. Why? Because I've been scared in the past as well. But really, the sense of threat that she is conveying there is not realistic at all, as if she doesn't have the authentic words to describe the threat that she felt when she was putting this baseball bat out and trying to stop, in her words, Charles from attacking Laurie. And then, so what happened? And then he grabbed the bat from you, and she says, She doesn't offer anything else, because what we've had from her a lot is very verbose answers. We have had very unprompted answers as well, where she feels like innocent or sort of guilty or hiding something. She has just volunteered information, but when asked how he got the bat, it's a very locked down, The policewoman obviously recognises this again and says, so tell me that again real quick. So I just kind of stuck it out. Now she keeps going to this phrase of just kind of stuck it out the bat. It's her go-to phrase to describe what she did with the bat. And this is when he was like, if you hit me with the baseball bat, you're going to jail. So again, she is saying that in her telling of the story, he felt threat, although this bat being stuck out feels quite innocuous in her words. The reaction to this bat being stuck out feels something different than just a bat being innocently or innocuously stuck out. If you hit me with that baseball bat, you're going to jail. And I didn't say anything because I'm like, okay, I don't believe she didn't say anything. There's no need to tell us that you didn't say anything. So I think she is been threatening with that baseball bat there. And so I'm holding it by like the end of the bat, like the place where you hold it. And so he kind of took it, and I kind of like lunged forward and kind of lost like my footing. Okay, so we don't know how he got the bat. He kind of took it. What does that mean? He grabbed it? he yanked it from you. You offered it to him and he accepted it. We don't know because it's in this vagueness again. He kind of took it. What there certainly isn't there is any sense of violence, any sense of it being taken forcibly from her at all. It's just he kind of took it. Feels like almost it was offered to him, this baseball bat. He kind of took it. And I kind of like lunged forward and kind of lost like my footing. Now, in my mind here, I've got her holding onto the bat and he pulls it. Now, that would cause her to fall forward, I guess. Lunged is more something we do of our own propulsion. We choose to lunge forward. So is that what she's saying here? That she was lunging forward with the bat and kind of lost my footing. Again, it's this vagueness of this teenage language that's going on there. And she continues, and so my mom was like, just let go. So we now have signs of a tussle going on here because mom was saying, just let go. So what was she trying not to let go of the bat? And so, yeah, I kind of like slipped and I fell on like my side. Yeah. And then from that, my mom said, go to the car. So we just got up and ran out the door. So I don't know how he got the bat. It's not very clear how he got the bat. Was it a tussle and he wrestled the bat from her? Or did he just kind of take it when it was offered? We don't know. But we had before lunged and lost my footing, and now she's saying like she slipped. So there's just no consistent congruency when she tells this story. And then from then, my mom said, go to the car. So there seems to have been something that happened here when the baseball bat was lost. And so we just got up and ran out the door. Now, I've got this we here. Who was we that got up? I know because I've listened to the full interview. It's JJ, who is Tylee's, I think, half-brother, Laurie's other son. Once more, just like with the Alex Cox analysis, JJ just seems to appear magically in this story. There's no sense of him being around before. Maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was somewhere else hiding. But for some reason, when both Alex Cox told this story and when Tylee are telling this story, JJ just miraculously appears and disappears all the way through the telling of this story. So I've no idea in this part how he got the bat, because it's just not clear at all. Was it a tussle or was it taken? And I'm also not clear as to why she fell. She kind of wants to say that she lunged and lost her footing, or she slipped. Both of them slightly different, but there's a lot that's not hanging together around Tylee's story. Now listen, coming up, Tylee suddenly denies being violent. Now, why would that be? Kind of like listening to Tylee here. Do you ever feel that you're not being told the full story? Well, you're right. It's happening to you all the time. And I'm here to giving you the key to seeing deeper by listening to the world with new ears and understanding the words that people are using with you. And I am on a mission to share this with as many people as possible. So if you want to unlock that secret, subscribe to this channel, follow, join in the movement. There's a whole load of archives of all sorts of cases where you can dig into and understand how people use words to tell the truth and to deceive us, and also their motivations. Also, do you know someone who needs this? Maybe someone who's interested in this story or interested in the language of deception. Then share this channel, hit the like button. That helps it get to a load more people as well. Recommend this to that person, pass it on. Every single click, every single share, it fuels the fire and allows me to analyze deeper and bring this life-changing skill to more people. I get so many comments from people saying, thanks to you, I can now look at what someone important in my life is saying to me in a much different way from the way I was doing it before. Now, does that sound like a great gift to give? Then do hit that like button, hit that share button, and recommend this to someone else. Let's go back inside the police interview room now and more from Tylee.
Can you tell me kind of where the three of them were at, kind of emotionally, and how they were behaving when all this was happening?
When all this was happening, or like before?
When all this was happening. So like when you came out of your room and he took the bat from you and...
Yeah, so my stepdad was like, he was like, I don't even know how to explain it. He honestly just looked like kind of a crazy person.
Okay.
Like screaming, and like his face was beet red. He just looked like really mad. I remember when he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second, and I honestly like, it didn't even look like him. He just looked like pure like rage. Like he was just seeing red. So I haven't really seen him like all the way like that before. That's like the craziest I've ever seen him. And then my uncle was kind of calm, like not super calm. Obviously it was like a stressful situation, but he's like, I don't know, he was kind of just standing there in the doorway, kind of just being protective of my mom, but he wasn't yelling or really saying anything.
Okay.
And my mom was just he was yelling and my mom was kind of just like talking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But you don't remember, if you do, like what your mom was saying at all, or what he was mad about?
No, not really. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay.
Honestly, like
we're talking about something that probably happened over 2 seconds of time. So.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like 2 seconds and 40 minutes at the same time.
Yeah.
So I don't remember what they were really saying. I just kind of heard yelling over everything. Mm-hmm.
So you got the message there, which is that stepdad, he was aggressive and he was yelling. Everyone else, all calm, all protective. But do we believe that? Let's dig into the words. She's asked, can you tell me what the three of them were at emotionally and how they were behaving when all this was happening? And Tylee answers a question with a question. I think this is to buy her thinking time. Potentially, this is part of the story that she doesn't have thought through before, and she wants to buy herself some time to come up with the right words that she wants to use. So she's like, when all this was happening, or like before? Now that's interesting because pretty much she's telling this story and she's made it sound like it all happened in a very short space of time. I woke up, I went out with a baseball bat, and I went, you need to stand apart. So when all this was happening, or like before? So remember I said she's keen to tell us she immediately got the baseball bat and came out, and I said, was it that immediate? Was there something that happened before? Another data point here that she was experiencing something before. So it's put to her that when all this was happening, so you came out of your room and he took the bat from you. She's like, yeah, so my stepdad was like, he was like, I don't even know how to explain it. Now, again, I think this is the real words coming out. This is why she was looking for some thinking time by responding to the question with a question. And she's now verbalizing that fact. I don't even know how to explain it. He honestly just looked like a crazy person. Once again, she's flagging up her honesty. I don't think Tylee is being very honest here. I think she's thinking on the fly and thinking, I haven't covered this off. How do I put into words the scenario that I want to paint here, rather than just saying what it was she observed and sharing her truthful, honest experience with us. She carries on and says, like, screaming, and his face was beet red and he just looked really mad. It doesn't really flow. And she's telling us here that she's having a hard time with these words, even though she seems to remember bit for bit where everyone was standing and all the movements that they all made. She's having a hard time explaining the emotions of people. I remember when he took the bat from me. Now, here we go. He took the bat from me, not stole, grabbed, yanked, or anything like that. It's this very passive sense that he took the bat from me. When he took the bat from me, I saw his face for like a split second, and I honestly, like, it didn't even look like him. So we've got her honesty being flagged up again here. He just looked like pure, like, rage, and he was just seeing red. So I haven't really seen him like that all the way like that before. That's the craziest I've ever seen him. I pulled out that word craziest there because unlike just about everything else, it just suggests to me that she has some experience of him when he has been crazy before. And then my uncle was kind of like calm, like not super calm. Obviously, it was like a stressful situation, but he's like, I don't know. He was just standing there in the doorway, kind of being protective of my mom. So we've got stepdad, bad, angry, beet red, crazy. Uncle, kind of calm. Well, look, not totally calm, but, you know, it was a stressful situation. But then we've got all these kind ofs again. So he was kind of being protective of my mom. Was he being protective or was he being aggressive? Well, it was just kind of being protective. Kind of protective can be aggressive. We've got again his situation, his location, which is in the doorway, which makes me think here, was he in the doorway trying to block some sort of entrance or exit? Is that what was going on there? Is that why she's always very sure that he was in the doorway? But he wasn't yelling or really saying anything. So again, we've got this vagueness going on there. He wasn't really saying anything. Well, he probably was saying something. And my mom was just kind of, he was yelling, and my mom was kind of just like talking. Well, you know what kind of talking can be? Yelling can be there. And remember, they were both yelling earlier on, but now her story's changed. And that mom was just talking, and it was stepdad that was yelling. So again, there's just, this story is not hanging together from Tylee. Do you remember, if you do, like what your mom was saying about, or what it was that he was mad about? And she says, no, not really, I'm sorry. Not really doesn't mean I don't. It means I do a little bit, or I do some of it, but not everything, or whatever. But what I'm getting there is that she does remember what was being said. Maybe she doesn't remember word for word what was being said. And again, she flags up her honesty. Not really. I'm sorry. Honestly, like I... So I think she does remember what was being said. Her recall is so spot on in so many ways, apart from what was being said. Not entirely sure that's true. She says, yeah, this is probably something that happened over 2 seconds at time. She says, yeah, honestly, it feels like 2 seconds and 40 minutes at the same time. So yeah, I don't remember what they were really saying. I just kind of heard yelling over everything. So again, when it comes to this stuff, and I said we're going to navigate these teenage terms of kinda, really, sorta. When it comes to this vagueness, I can see a lot is actually being hidden inside this vagueness. I don't remember what they were really saying. Well, you do know they were really saying something. It's just you don't want to share it with us, I think, Tylee, actually. I just kind of heard yelling over everything. And again, it's that vagueness that's there. When she tells us that she doesn't remember the conversation, I'm afraid I don't believe her. So she is hiding what was said. Why would that be? Let's get some more from Tylee.
So when you woke up to yelling, and you had said you weren't sure what they were actually saying, did you know who was yelling when you heard the yelling?
Yeah, I knew it was my stepdad. Well, at first I kind of didn't, like when you first wake up you're kind of disoriented, and then I remembered that my stepdad was like coming in to take my little brother to school today, so I immediately like knew it was him. Mm-hmm. And then my uncle I knew was staying, so I knew that was him, and then my mom, obviously, I knew that was her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
then, so you stepped out of your room and you took the bat with you. Is there a reason why you took the bat with you?
Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct. Mm-hmm. Like obviously I didn't ever hit him with mm-hmm. the bat or anything like that. It was kind of just for like security, I guess, to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it. In hindsight, I probably just shouldn't have brought it out at all because it caused more trouble. But it was kind of just first instinct, and it was right by my bed. Uh-huh. So I kind of just like jumped up and grabbed it.
So I'm trying not to put like words in your mouth and stuff.
You're good.
So was there something in particular that you were concerned about that you would have taken the bat with you?
Only if he had been violent towards like me or my mom.
I'm assuming you're talking about your stepdad?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take the bat and like do something with it. It was kind of just like, I need something in my hands to like feel safer.
Okay.
This, for me, is one of the most worrying answers that we'll hear. So she is asked, when you woke up to the yelling, and you had said you weren't sure what they were actually saying, did you know who was yelling when you heard the yelling? And Tylee's answer just doesn't fall together here. She says, yeah, I knew it was my stepdad. Oh, well, at first I kind of didn't. So I knew it was my stepdad. Well, at first I kind of didn't. We've just got this mishmash of words again there. Did you know it was him? Or did you not know it was him? Where does this kind of come into it? Like when you first wake up, you're kind of disorientated. So here she's not saying, I woke up and I was disorientated. She's moving this on to you, getting us to experience it and maybe to excuse what it is that she's saying there. She's making us think about how we feel when we wake up. We're disorientated. She says, and then I remembered that my stepdad was like coming in to take my little brother to school today. So I immediately like knew it was him. So twice she said, I knew it was my stepdad. Immediately, I knew it was my stepdad. Well, I kind of didn't, but then I remembered, so I immediately knew it was him. Kind kind of confusing. And then, like, my uncle, I knew was staying, so I knew that was him. Now, interesting, look, maybe their voices are very different, but when she heard male voices, well, it was her uncle who she knew was staying there, not the first person that she thought of, but it was the stepdad was the first person she thought of when she heard yelling. Don't know what was going on there, but again, it's just really not a smooth telling of this story. And obviously, I knew my mom was my mom. And then, so you stepped out of your room, you took the bat with you. Is there a reason you took the bat with you? And she goes to one of her go-to, for me, indications that there is a lie happening here. Honestly, I think that was kind of just like first instinct. Like, obviously, I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. Why is she volunteering that? We've got honestly. So she says, honestly, I think it was instinct. And I've said she's wanting us to believe it was instinct that she took this bat with her. I don't think it was instinct. I don't know whether it was pre-planned. Listen, we're going to set Uncle, your stepdad up and we need you to come out with a baseball bat. Or whether she was like thinking about it for a long time and thought, I'm going to go out there with a baseball bat and I'm going to threaten violence because this is not good enough. I don't know which one it was, but there's something there that it was not instinct. And she flags it up by telling us she's being honest. Then she volunteers, I didn't ever hit him with the bat or anything like that. Now, before I've said I think she was being a lot more violent with the bat than she is letting on in her words. And she feels the need to tell us that she didn't hit him with the bat or anything like that. Well, I think that she came out with the bat and was using it threateningly, forcefully. Not entirely sure if she hit him with the bat, but I want to know why she's denying that she hit him with the bat. Did she come out and swing that bat even? Is that how she lost her footing? This just stuck it out? I don't believe that for a second. I think there was a lot more to her use of the baseball bat than that. She says it was kind of just for security. So, and we have that word just again. She's playing it down. I guess to know that I had it. I didn't do anything with it. So this is the second time she's told us that she didn't do anything with it. Although she's told us that she did do something with it. She used it to try and stop stepdad getting closer to mom. And yet she's lying here and saying, I didn't do anything with it. Well, but what did you do with it? In hindsight, I shouldn't have brought it out at all because it just caused more trouble. But it was kind of just first instincts. And we have kind of, and we have just again. I don't believe it was instinct. And it was right by my bed. Ho, we've got location again from Tylee. It's almost like this whole story she's telling is a choreographed script rather than a factual story. Because again, you know, she's talking about security and so on, but she's not talking about any fear, any emotions that made her worry about security. So I just kind of jumped up and grabbed it. The police person says, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth and stuff. No, you're good. So was there something in particular that you were concerned about that would have taken so you would have taken the bat with you? Only if he had been violent towards like me or my mom. So she says, look, I wanted this bat for security. Okay, what sort of security? What were you concerned about? Oh, only if he had been violent towards like me or my mom. So no worry there whatsoever. Are you? I'm assuming you're talking about your stepdad. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to take the bat and do something with it. It was just kind of like, I need something in my hands to feel safer. It wasn't like, I'm going to take the bat and do something with it. So she's denying and putting out there so often that this bat, there was no purpose to this bat whatsoever beyond her security. But she can't say what sort of security she needed. She cannot say that there was a reason that she felt really unsafe. It's just a kind of if, buts and maybes, but do something with it. So there we go. That is Tylee talking about the day that Charles was shot by Alex Cox and her involvement in there whatsoever. So what do I think? Look, her baseball bat story that she tells, it isn't as planned and as innocent as she's making out. There was some purpose to this bat and taking it out there and getting this bat amongst the adults, especially her stepdad. She's hiding anything that was said. She's lying to us that she does not remember everything that was said. She's more than aware of a conversation that was going on. She's much happier saying where people were. She's really comfortable telling us where people were rather than talking about what they said or what they did. And very much like Alex Cox telling of the story, there is no fear expressed at all of Charles whatsoever. I don't think anyone in this house had any fear about Charles or the violence of Charles or anything like that at all. So did Lori Vallow recruit her daughter into the conspiracy? From what I can see there, yeah, I think she did. And that's really sad. And the rest of Tylee's story is really sad as well. For all that I think that Tylee was lying and not telling us the truth, I think she's being coerced by, frankly, an awful parent into doing some very bad things, which is so sad. A young, impressionable girl brought into a life like that. It's absolutely tragic. What are your thoughts? Do let me know in the comments here if you can, or you can get in touch on social media. You'll find all the social media links in the description for this episode, or you'll also find them at neveratruerword.com, where you'll also find a whole load more videos or podcasts to dive deeper into the words that people you choose to use, to see if they're telling the truth, to see if they're deceiving you, and also what their motivations are. That's neveratruerword.com, and we'll see you soon for something new from Never a Truer Word.